Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father. Once again, I'm bringing you an awesome interview this evening. I want to thank everybody who's listening out in the chat room and out on the internet on your little iPod, iPad, whatever that you listen to. Make sure you got it cranked up and you're listening really good right now because we have Boris Randall online with us. He's done many things and we're going to be pushing a lot of his stuff here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Boris, how's it going, my man?
Good.
Awesome. So you said that you want to talk about the cartel that you have here, your music store. So let's talk about that right now.
Okay. I put up. It's on Bandcamp. It's called the Boris Randall Store.bandcamp.com. That's how you find it. I think I put it up in October, and I needed a place where because I'm not on a label or anything like that, so I didn't have a way to get any music out there. I mean, music just pours out of me at home, and I'm lucky enough to have a way to record it. So I just used Bandcamp, to put albums up there, make an album, put it up there, let people download it. And I also went back a lot of stuff that I've done in the past, 20, 25 years ago, that you can't even get now. I went back and remastered this stuff and put it in the store as well so people could get some of that stuff.
Yeah, and you've been playing for what, 20 years, what I'm reading here?
Yeah, I started playing when I was 9, and I got my first band when I was 12.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been, a long time.
That's really cool. Do you find it frustrating to be, like an independent musician?
Yeah, I mean, it's very frustrating. I've been on labels before, and I had a punk band called Hallowmas, and we were signed to Coffin Records. And the only thing that changed for us was we did 2 releases with them, and they were worldwide releases. So obviously that means it goes out to audiences that we were never going to reach, places that we were never going to play, and areas we were never going to get into. So so it did that for us, and it also did the obvious things like full packaging CDs and professional mastering and stuff like that, things that I didn't have at my disposal beforehand. So I do miss those things, but like I said, I'm hoping with the Bandcamp store that I can reach those people. It's just a matter of spreading a word, because right now most of that word of mouth is getting generated on Facebook. And that's not as wide as it seems when you're trying to promote something like like a page to go download music.
Speaking of that, you do have an album an EP that's out there right now that you can get for free. Let's talk about that and the name of that album or that EP right now.
That one is called Power for the People. I did that one after my solo release, which was called At the Mountains of Madness. That one had such a good response at the Mountains of Madness, and a lot of people were digging it and downloading it like crazy. So as a way for me to say thank you, I put up Power for the People for free, and that was kind of how I wanted to keep things going. I put an album up, if it does well, people go get it, then I'll pay them back by putting up a free album immediately afterwards.
Not many would do that.
No, probably not.
and the thing about it is, it's like, even if you're an artist, that's not signed or nobody, like our local group or someone, you got to remember where you came from. And the fans are the ones who put you where you are. Yeah.
Well, money was never a motive or a motivation for me to do music. I was doing music long before I realized that you could actually make money at it. So, and by the time I did realize you could make money at it, I had been doing it, not making money at it for so long that, I didn't really, wasn't much of a change. Don't get me wrong, I won't, everybody likes to be paid for their work, but, it's not what motivates me to make music.
Where can they go and download this free EP from you at?
They can go to www.theborisrandallstore.bandcamp.com.
What else do you have up there that people can get off that Bandcamp site?
There are a ton of releases from my very first punk band called the Splatter Punks. Our first album is up there from 1989. Like I said, that stuff's all been remastered. There's several releases from that band up there. I did a solo album in 2005 that is on there. It was an unreleased album from a band I had, a horror punk band called Hallowmas, that is on there. There's my solo. There's the solo EP, the free one. Jeez, there's tons of stuff on there. That's most of it though.
How did you actually get started into music?
I don't know. I mean, it was kind of one of those things. Music was always playing in our house. It was always playing in the car. It was always around. I was really into music really young, and right away, I took to certain bands. And my family was somewhat musical, so I got my first guitar when I was 9, kind of just messed around with it on a regular basis, but didn't get serious about playing until I was 12. And then from that point on, at 12, I put my toys away and replaced it with guitar. So I couldn't imagine not doing music now.
I've got a collection of guitars, which mean you've talked about that before on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I can't play anything with them.
See, that right there exactly is why you should come off with that Zakk Wylde Les Paul for me.
But Zakk Wylde is one of my favorite guitarists, so I could say, well, I've got like his model guitar.
I'll send you back a picture of it.
Oh, shucks.
I could put that thing to use, man.
I do. I mean, I like guitars that are oddly shaped for some reason. Standard stuff I don't care too much for. I guess it's just the show for it,
Yeah.
I guess it just stands out by themselves. But I mean, there's a lot of good makes and models for guitar players, but you can't go wrong with Les Paul. Period.
No, you're absolutely right. It's the standard, really.
Yep. It's got that crunch.
Yeah.
It's got that. I mean, you got any sound that you want through that guitar. Honestly.
Yeah, you're right.
It sucks we lost him this year. I mean, we've lost so many instrumental music people this year, man. Already.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, just like the other day, we lost Chi Chang from the Deftones. So
yeah, I saw that.
That's crazy. But I mean, he had been in a coma for like 5-6 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So this Propagan group that you have right now, I know this is your project right now. Other than yourself, who else do you have in here?
I've got a fantastic guitar player from New Mexico named Baphomet, and that's it. It's him and I basically covering all of it right now.
Are you looking for more people? I mean, are you putting it out there more to say, hey, look, send us some demos or whatever, or are you just taking your time with this one?
Well, we've already taken a year on 7 songs, so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Basically, the game plan is get the 7 songs, which actually it's in its mixing stage right now, so it's going to be going up online like very soon. But the game plan was get it together, get it online, see what type of reaction it gets, see if there seems to be a demand for it, and if there is, then we're already halfway to a band. All we need is two more guys, and we can do it.
And there's so many talented people out there that can just pick up on the music anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So, I want to talk about the EP, the free EP that you have. I talked about this for you before we started the interview. I've got to say that this fits right in with all the local stuff that I cover. And the reason why I say that is this EP that Boris has out, and I'm not just saying this just to be saying it. I mean, I'm saying this for the cold hard facts. This EP sounds a lot like Black Sabbath. If you like Black Sabbath, I suggest anybody get this anyway for local stuff.
There you go. I like that.
I mean, honestly, if you preach about supporting local stuff, get it. Honestly, like I said, it sounds like Black Sabbath. It's got a lot of darkness to it, and the guitar playing is really good too. And all in all, from top to bottom, this EP, there's not a bad song on it.
Cool. Thanks, man.
And I really dig it, man. When I was talking to Rich, he's the one who said, hey, help Boris out and get him on your show. And I said, hey, that's fine. I'll help out anybody that I can. So when I got it and started listening to the EP, I was like, Rich, this sounds like Black Sabbath. And he's like, yeah, it does. It's got a lot of darkness. It's got a lot of dark in it. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I like this. Man, you guys hit it on this EP.
Well, I'm a big fan of Sabbath as a whole, and I'm a big fan of Iommi and his guitar playing, and that was when I was looking to get a new guitar a couple years back. That was the whole reason I got an SG. Mm-hmm. Him and Angus Young, but yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of influence there. He's a lefty, I'm a lefty.
Like I told you, finally another lefty like I talked to.
Yeah, they're rare, man.
It's so hard to find a left-handed guitar.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And they're so expensive when you do find them.
Yeah. It's not a very fair game.
No, it's not. Your influence is coming up. Who all actually influenced you to say, hey, look, this is what I really want to do?
Man, I tell you, I love music in general.
Mm-hmm.
It would be easier for me to tell you music that I don't like than it would be to tell you music I do like. Because because there's just so much that you leave something out. But when I was a kid, right away, I mean, I was into the Beatles and Rolling Stones, basically that kind of stuff. I can remember listening to some Sabbath and Deep Purple, whatever would have been on the radio, early 80s, that type of stuff. And then, when I got a little bit older, I started getting into metal, Metallica, Megadeth, Testament, Slayer, all that stuff. Played that for a little bit. Then I started getting into punk.
Yeah.
And played punk for 20 years.
Horror punk. There you go.
Yeah. And then, after I kind of just got tired of being in the horror punk scene, I felt after, 20 years, I've pretty much done everything with that music that I felt I could do with it. So I just decided to get back to, I'm a guitar player first and foremost. So I decided to get back to playing guitar, more guitar to play. Because, in the horror punk stuff, I was just writing 4-chord stuff, you know what I mean? So I wanted to get back to more challenging stuff to play, stuff that was more involved, more content. So, that's where a lot of the sound that I'm doing now came from.
Don't get me wrong, and I may be mistaken on this, but from people that I've talked to, it seems like horror punk is kind of the most, or horror punk, it's the most simplest stuff that you can actually play and learn. And then when you try to go to metal, that's when, you got more serious chords to learn and stuff.
Yeah, there's a thing I say about playing punk, because I'm very experienced about it, so I'm qualified to say this. It's not what you play that is hard to do, it's how you play it. Because in punk, everybody's playing the same 4 chords. That's nothing special. But you have to go the extra mile and you have to sell it. And, punk is very vigorous. It takes a toll on you, and it kicks the shit out of you, man. It really does. I mean, in my first punk band, our songs were so short, we had to play 42 songs to fill an hour set.
Jeez.
And I'm talking an hour of as fast as you can go, as loud as you can play. I did half the sets in the audience with my mic, and I always bled at every show. And, that's punk. It's not really so much what you're playing, it's how you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you see these old school punk bands who bring out CDs are like 20 and 30 songs on one CD.
Right.
And you're going, wow, how's this happen? We'll look at the track listings and how the length of time that the song takes, like 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. I got a little smarter by the time I had Hallowmas. I was writing songs that were, 2.5, 3 minutes long. So when we'd go out to play, fill 45 minutes to an hour, we only had to do about 20 songs.
Yeah.
So I wised up a little bit.
And too, when you're talking about like playing heavy and fast, I mean, that's awesome. That's all well good and dandy when you're playing live, because I think that's what gets the fans more into it.
Right.
But the Misfits are kings of that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, as soon as the song's done, like 2 seconds, bam, they're into another one.
Yeah.
I haven't got to see them yet, and I hope I get to see them with the full band. But who knows what's going to happen? If they'll have another full band for the Misfits.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was always a bigger Samhain fan than the Misfits. I do like the Misfits, the Danzig era, and the 2 albums with Graves were pretty good. They were all right. But the stuff that's going on now and the stuff that's been going on, where they've been doing the 3-piece, I just don't care for it at all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's traditional Misfit stuff.
No, I mean, every band, unless you're the Ramones, every band has to update their sound and kind of roll with the times a little bit. So, I mean, that is understandable, unless you're the Ramones and Slayer. Those are the only 2 bands that are allowed to stay the same, I think.
That's very true.
And no one complains,
That is very true.
But I think Jerry's probably trying to update the sound, as time goes by to make sure that the records still sell. And I don't know. I think that what turns a lot of people onto the Misfits is the old catalog of songs.
Yep.
So when you have somebody who's really in love with that old catalog of music, when you have the new stuff that's coming out and the stuff that's going on now, I think that's why it doesn't jive as much.
Since 1989, since you've been playing around that time frame, how much has music changed, in your opinion, from '89 till now?
Well, you can go both ways on that. I can say not at all, because music is music, and it's no matter what, it's really all the same. You can take a metal song and you can take a country song. They're both still played and written on guitars, and they're both still played with the same four instruments. So, I mean, I could be an asshole and say not at all, but to answer your question the way I think you want it answered, I can say a lot, because around that time, what was really what seemed underground would have been like your alternative stuff, or at that time actually they were calling it postmodern.
Yeah,
that type of stuff was kind of like what the underground kids are listening to, and you had Metallica really starting to come up around that time. Slayer had a pretty good handle on things by then. 89, 90, you had Nirvana's Nevermind album come out. So I mean, that right there in itself is a bunch of different music. And then the whole grunge thing happened, and then somewhere during the grunge thing, I don't remember, I'm kind of fuzzy on it, but then the whole industrial thing really blew up and got big with your Skinny Puppy and 9 Inch Nails and all that stuff. So I mean, we don't really have a whole lot of that type of stuff. The last big thing I can really remember going on musically that was a big thing was nu metal. I didn't like it, but that was kind of like our last big thing as far as like, here's the new thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And ever since that went down, it pretty much seems that everything has kind of just been just like a hodgepodge of hit and miss stuff, It's
weird, though, that it's kind of went back to the metal scene.
Yeah,
you've got like Megadeth coming out with a new CD after 13 called Super Collider, and you have all these bands coming out with new stuff. Like you got Device coming out, which is Disturbed's frontman. He's got a new band out.
Yeah,
and Killswitch Engage just came out with a new CD. Seven Dust. I mean, it seems like it's more. I guess the metal has returned, but it hasn't went away either.
Right. Well, I mean that was the one thing that the only again, this isn't my opinion, but the only good thing I think about nu metal was the fact that it made down tuning and really chunky heavy guitars and a guy not singing but screaming mainstream. So it kind of let people get used to that. I mean, I remember the very first time I turned the radio on and Slipknot was on there, and I thought, what the hell? You know what I mean? 10 years before that, you wouldn't even dream of hearing something like that on the radio.
Yeah. And now he's got Stone Sour.
So because of that, then it seems like the new mainstream is basically kind of heavy. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with that.
Heavy's always good.
Yeah.
Always good. I think, everybody got caught up in the grunge era. Even I did. I liked a few bands. Alice in Chains for sure.
Yeah.
I really dug them a lot. So, people think I'm crazy when I say that, but yeah, I mean, there's different styles of music that's came along, the 80s, and you had the 90s and stuff like that, and it's basically went back to metal.
Yeah.
But now, back to you guys. When do you think that this full length's going to come out from you, hopefully?
From Propagan?
Yeah.
I don't know, because what we're working on right now is a 7-song EP. Okay. So, and we're in the mixing stages of that, so I'm just waiting to hear from Baphomet about what he thought about the last mixes. If I had to estimate on that, I would probably say 4 or 6 weeks on that. And then, like I said, we're going to kind of wait that out and see what type of reaction we get and kind of take it from there about the full length. Because I know it's posted somewhere online that the full length was supposed to be out in 2012. So...
Yeah, that's actually on the About section I was looking at, so that's why I asked.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Guess a guy better get on that then.
Well, I mean, things happen, and you definitely don't want to put something out that's going to be rushed, too. So, I mean...
Yeah.
I've
when we started on this EP, like I said, it's been a year, but, so many things have happened along the way. That was no fault of our own, just life things that happened that would stop production for 3 weeks here, stop it for 4 weeks here, and before you know it, it's been a year later, and we've just thought, man, we really have to get this out.
What would you say the inspiration behind your music is, if any?
Well, it's kind of hard to say. That's kind of two-sided. I mean, generally, just as a whole, I am inspired to create. period, because I love the process of it. I love getting to the end result. I love creating things. So there's that aspect of it. Then there's a feeling of it's kind of just what I do, because like I was telling you, when you start playing when you're 9, start taking it seriously when you're 12, and you do that every day, it's kind of just what you do. So there's that aspect, and then the other aspect is a lot of times I just take an inspiration is song by song, as far as pinpointing an exact inspiration. And that would just depend on the song.
Is there any new bands that you're listening to right now that really caught your eye?
Jeez. I'm such a horrible music fan. Well, I'm not, but I'm a horrible current music fan, because it seems like the things that I like in music just aren't currently happening. Everything that I'm listening to heavy is all, from the 70s. A lot of 70s stoner and acid rock bands and stuff like that. That's kind of like my regular rotation. And I guess the current stuff I could say that I would be listening to would be like Corrosion of Conformity, Orange Goblin. I don't know if you're familiar with Jex Thoth.
No, never heard of that one.
That's some good stuff there. Down. Any of that. The Sword. Familiar with them?
Yep.
Good stuff. You're probably sensing a trend here, right? Like a sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the stuff I dig. But I also listen to the Beatles, Paul McCartney and Wings. I'm a big David Bowie fan, and recently, within the last few months, my wife's really gotten me into T-Rex.
Nice.
So, like I said earlier, I love music. If it's good and it's got heart in it, and you can feel that when you're listening to the music, then I'll buy into it.
Yeah, you can
I'm
tell.
a huge fan of ABBA, believe it or not.
You can actually tell when a band is putting out an album from song to song that they put their heart and soul into it.
Sure, yeah. It's just something you can feel, and it's something that doesn't seem faked or manufactured in any way.
With your shows that you played with in the other bands and stuff, Boris, what would you say your most memorable one was?
I played a show when I was with Necrophagia. We played in Holland, and that was my first time overseas. So that I think will always stick in my mind, because Necrophagia is a very big band, and we played to a very large audience, and basically Necrophagia is royalty overseas. Mm-hmm. So that was all something that was all new to me. I wasn't used to that. I've always been used to begging for any kind of treatment you can get, out of a venue. But this was the complete opposite. So that show will always stick in my brain.
What do you say? What do you say, Boris, that Propagan will bring to the table for music?
Well, some damn good rocking, that's for sure. Because like I said, primarily being a guitarist, I'm a huge fan of a good riff, and I think you got to have one. And that's what's important when I'm doing the songs, is having a good riff, having the song put together well, and hopefully, getting some lyrics in there that are intelligent somewhat, and music, that's got heart and soul to it. It's got some integrity and some longevity. And that's what I think, it'll be. I can't really go beyond that, because I'm not one of those people that thinks that what I'm doing is changing the world or changing people's lives. Mm-hmm. All I do is write songs. I write music because that's what I do, because I love to do it, and because it's in my head. I can put it out there. If somebody likes it, other people want to jump on and get behind it, that's fantastic. I'm extremely appreciative, and I'll keep making more. But I'll never sit back sometime and think that I'm doing something that the world needs. That's for sure.
Anything that you have, I will play it on here for you. I don't care a bit to. And, thank you for doing this interview.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate
really cool.
it.
This has been a really good interview. 30 minutes went by really quick here.
Yeah, no doubt. I've done a lot of interviews, and I got to say, this is definitely one of the better ones I've done.
I support locals. I do get mainstream big artists on here, but I love interviewing locals, because it just seems like they get it.
Yeah. Well, the music industry's gotten to a point where I guess I'm going to call them semi-professional bands. I guess it's kind of like where I would be, or where I was maybe a couple years back when I was in Necrophagia and all that. Not quite there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Those guys are the guys, like you say, those are the guys that get it. When you go up to the next level, to the guys who already made it, once they've been there so long, you know, everything's so easy at that point as far as being a band. I mean, it's, people don't realize just how hard it is just to be a band.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, to get everything to work together, to get everything to function, to get everything you need, you know, it's just, it's so much work and it's so hard. And when, you know, when people go see a band, or they think of a band or a guy in a band, the only thing they think of is that moment that person is on stage, and they think that's what it's like all the time, and it's not. It's not at all.
You know, think about it, everybody. These people live together on the road, sometimes a year or two a year or two in time like that, and they don't get a break hardly, so they have to see each other every day, and eventually there's going to be a breaking point. You know, it's just not all cake and ice cream, so
right.
It will take a toll on you.
Right, and you know, the business aspect of it too is something that, you know, music listeners don't think of when they think of a band either.
Yeah. I
mean, a band really is, it's kind of like a family-owned business, you know?
Yep, that is for sure.
It's you think of all the ups and downs that can come with that, and just the stress, and
there's some ugly breakups.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Boris, once again, how can people get a hold of you, and how can they get the EPs from you and buy your stuff?
They can go to www.theborisrandallstore.bandcamp.com, and there's tons of releases on there. You can start with 1989 and go clear up to 2012.
Ladies and gentlemen, like I told you, go get the free EP that he has out right now. If you like Black Sabbath and you like darker music and heavier style like the stoner rock, like he said, it's got a lot of influences on it. So definitely get it. And Boris, before I let you go, you care to do a promo for my show?
Yeah, what do I got to do? All right, you ready?
Yeah.
This is Boris Randall from Propagan. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Awesome. Stick around, everybody. I'm going to play some Propagan here in just a minute from Boris. And you're going to, you know, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. And thanks for listening, guys. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Thanks, Boris.
Thanks a lot, man.